Welcome to Manga Experts. Today we are counting our top 10 picks for the kingdom building manhwa. If you like our video, please leave a like and comment your suggestions below. Without any further ado, let's get started. The Lord doesn't matter. Lord Lid, the fourth son of the Lord Yunyang of the Yongqian Kingdom. After being born in another world with monsters and magic, he tried to live leisurely, but his father had another plan. He tried to make Lid a sacrifice so that his first son can gain more popularity and cruelty. Lid struggles to escape from being a sacrifice and become a lord of an almost destroyed territory. It's a good kingdom building manhwa. The only problem is that sometimes panels are missing and you need a big brain to understand what is happening because translating is piss poor. Excellent development of reincarnated lords. The main character was working for a black company when he collapsed from exhaustion and woke up to find that he had been reincarnated as the son of a weak lord in another world. He was attacked by a demon, lost his parents, and took over a territory that no longer had any residents. The path he chose to survive was to gather people under extremely white conditions. The kingdom building elements of this manga are very simple. All characters are very plain, and sometimes they feel dull to me. The art is mediocre. This is more of an easy-going manga with light kingdom building elements. Starting from today I'll work as a city lord. When a gamer and homebody starts the buff for traveling through time and space, he certainly chooses to make waves. This is a fantastic another world under the rule of the law of the jungle. In a real strategic game and a huge conspiracy crisis, the overlord of another world is emerging. It's pretty mediocre all around. The characters are one-dimensional cutouts that have 2 or 3 emotions. And people including the protagonist act incredibly stupid at times, leading them to get into trouble for things that just feel like a waste of time. I am the strongest lord in another world. Richard, a transmigrator, became a pioneering aristocrat in another world. At the time, the natives were invading the country from the front, and a noble with ill intentions was plotting behind the scenes. Richard only had a few things to rely on, and one of them was called the Lord System. Now Richard is creating frontiers to build castles, finding dwarves to buy equipment, and much more. Bearmen, minotaurs, goblins, all kinds of enemies were invading his fief one after another. The art is good, but not consistent, especially during the fight scenes. We see a lot of plot holes like enemies which further away appear too close at once. But that is not a problem, because the story is quite good and original. The kingdom building elements are quite good, and the overall world building is also on point. The major problem with this manhwa is that it was later on picked by machine translation groups. The translation is not top-notch, but you can still understand it. Dawn Empire. Fan Li accidentally got a wormhole that could travel through the medieval world where there were pastoral songs, but also wars and chaos. He could be in groups of wives and concubines, and he could also compete in the world. But no matter what kind of ideal you want to achieve, you must start with making money. It is an interesting manhwa with an interesting concept. The only problem is that it can become a little bit dark later on, and the updates of the chapters are a bit slow. Suterareta Tensei Kenja. A man once called a great wise man was reincarnated just before his death. He retained his memories because of the magic he applied to himself. But at the time he was born, magic was unnecessary. Therefore, the baby was abandoned in the demon forest. He was worried that he would eventually die, but he was lucky enough to be picked up by a gentle goblin and raised at a demon village. The matured wise man tries to develop the village to pay back to the demons, but things start to happen. One who was praised as a wise man leads demons to create a great empire. The main character is overpowered from the start, and this manga has more similarities to I Reincarnated as a Slime. Isekai Nonbiri Nauk. After Hiraku dies of a serious illness, God brings him back to life, gives his health and youth back, and sends him to a fantasy world of his choice. In order to enjoy his second shot, God bestows upon him the almighty farming tool. Watch as Hiraku digs, chops, and plows in another world in this laid-back farming fantasy. It's a good isekai manga heavily focused on farming, and it's more like a slice of life, peaceful laid-back adventure in another world. Mau-sama no Michizukuri. In a world where demon lords build dungeons and devour human emotions, one rookie demon lord, Prosel, has a new idea. Prosel seeks to build a revolutionary new dungeon where humans and monsters can coexist. But first, Prosel must defeat the Wind Demon Lord. The plot is interesting enough, but the story is too nice for some people's taste. MC's goal is to make friends and living happily forever. That could have been interesting, but having an obviously young MC implies that his comrades are also young, and the art is a bit ecchi. The kingdom building elements are also top-notch. The death mage who doesn't want a fourth time. Amamiya Hiroto is unlucky. His life consisted of misfortune after misfortune, culminating in an unlucky death during an incident on a school boat trip, trying to save a girl he barely knew. After death, he met a god of reincarnation who requested that the 100 or so dead passengers, one of them being the girl he tried in vain to save, be reincarnated into another world. Yet a series of unfortunate events forced Hiroto to reincarnate with even less luck than before, starting with nothing but a tremendous amount of mana. Will this cycle of death and reincarnation ever end? The first few chapters are very dark, and the main character gets transmigrated 2 times. The first half of this manga is focused on leveling the main character and his minions. The kingdom building elements start after 25 or so chapters. Sengoku Kamachi Kuru Tan. The story follows history and agricultural fanatic Ayana Kauji Shizuko, who was a normal Japanese high schooler until she was suddenly transported into the past during the Sengoku era. When she is transported, she is followed by cannibals. But luckily for her, she was in the right place at the right time, so she was saved by the Nobunaga. To save her head, Shizuko says that she knows Nanban agriculture. Nobunaga, who assumes Shizuko could be useful, brings her back to his clan, and after a final decision, makes her the chief of a nearby village. Her only goal is to provide abundance for the village using the Nanban agricultural techniques. It's a very good isekai manga, and it's quite unique. Rather than transferring to a fantasy world, MC gets teleported back in time in the Nobunaga period. It has a lot of fun kingdom building and managing elements involved. I highly recommend giving this a try. Do you agree with our picks? Check out our other videos for more suggestions. And don't forget to give us a like before going. Until then, take care and we will see you in our next videos.